Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with the Q&A. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, so instead of just doing an intro, we're just going to get right into the questions. So Lizzie asked if I was surprised by anything about my Facebook group that I created and if I expected such a positive online community. I truly was blown away by the Facebook group and the response to it. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect and I didn't know if anyone would actually want to join, but every time I log in, I am truly just overwhelmed by how amazing all of you guys are. And before I created it, I definitely had a feeling that you guys were the best readers on the planet, but now that I started the Facebook group, it's just confirmed that fact. People are so nice and supportive, and because the group is filled with a huge range of ages, you just have this amazing diverse community where everyone has something to contribute and their own advice. People have been posting about upcoming trips, about asking for job advice, even asking for some advice or help or even just support with finding out some bad health news. You know, it's one of those things where I'm so grateful that there's this community of girls and women who are so passionate about what they do and just generally nice and good people. And to see it in action in the Facebook group has been incredible. And I just love you guys so much more because of it. If you aren't already a member of the Facebook group, I will be sure to leave a link below in the description box. You should just join. It's super fun. You can check out to see what people are posting about and maybe meet some people in your city. Okay, Mia asked if I could live anywhere, where would it be? Honestly, I'm not sure. I feel like I am one of those bloom where you're planted kind of people, and I have lived in so many different places over the years, and even if I don't love the place like in the beginning, by the end, I truly have made it a home. So I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I feel like wherever I end up is just going to be the place for me and that I can make any sort of situation work. But I guess if I were to dream, I would have like multiple houses. Is that allowed? Like, I would love a kind of year-round house in Vermont so I could ski during the winter and just have like nice gardens and a big yard and like a nice cozy cabin to read in. But I would also love a house on Nantucket, although I wouldn't want to live there year-round. It would just be purely for summer. So I guess I would say like one house in Vermont and one house in Nantucket is like the dream. That's the dream, obviously. It's a big dream. And on a related note, Abigail asked, where would I want to have a home in a foreign country? And I think, honestly, no, like if everything, the stars aligned and I had like unlimited money and I could just build this amazing home, I think it would be so cool to have like a flat in London. Now, if I felt like I could learn French overnight, I do think it would be amazing to live in Paris. I just had such an amazing time traveling there last summer. But I think the language barrier might be a little bit too much to handle for me. So unless I could just magically know and understand and learn French quickly, then I think London. So Bridget wanted to know how I stay true to myself and my brand when I know that there could be easy way outs like loop giveaways or buying followers and likes. And I think it's like twofold. One, I just personally, it's like part of my mantra to believe that it is important to be yourself and to be as authentic as possible. And that's just something I try to emulate in all aspects of my life, not just my internet or business life. But with that said, like there are a million ways that you can kind of fake it, and Instagram and blogging and like social media, and I see people doing it all the time. I think the biggest thing that stops me from doing it, there's two. One, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I think I wouldn't be as excited to do what I do if I felt like I was just cheating my way. There's such satisfaction knowing that you're doing it the right way and putting in the hard work and doing everything that really matters at the end of the day. And the second part is I just could not sleep with myself if I was doing some sketchy thing. Not that I would really judge someone else for doing it, like everyone's got to do what works for them, but I do question how some people sleep at night knowing they're just like faking their way through it. And on top of that, it is really transparent, and so even though it kind of looks on the surface that some people are like skyrocketing to fame and getting all these followers and likes and comments. Even if a brand or a reader takes like 10 seconds to just kind of like do a little investigative digging, you can see right through the fakeness. And I would never want someone to come to my profile and think, oh my God, like why is she so obsessed with likes that she's just buying them, or so obsessed with getting a ton of comments that she's just buying them. So I wouldn't want to like set that example for other people. I get the best feeling knowing when I put in hard work and I took the time to set up a photo shoot to make it really great and, you know, thought about all the components and pieces that go into it, and then seeing it really take off and be successful. That's such a good and satisfying feeling, and that's what I try to chase. So Libby wanted to know what I've done to feel more comfortable in front of the camera, and the truth is, I don't know if I'll ever feel completely comfortable. Luckily, when you see the blog photos, you know, I might have taken 100 photos for that one outfit, and you only see 5 or 6 of them on my blog. There's a million where I'm kind of like disheveled or sweating or trying to get the pose right, and with video, you guys see the final cut, and Carter, my amazing videographer and photographer, cuts out all the parts where I'm stumbling over my words and basically panicking in front of the camera. So you're really only seeing the final product. And that's actually something that's important to keep in mind as you stand in front of the camera, and just know that everyone feels a little bit of discomfort. Well, I guess some people might feel super comfortable, but a lot of people don't, and they're just kind of faking it in front of the camera and making it work, and that you're only seeing the highlight reel. But one thing that really helped me is actually to do my own editing at the beginning. It can be a little bit misleading if you're working with a photographer and you only get the 20 best photos of yourself. You might think you just completely nailed it and that you're a total natural in front of the camera. But in reality, there are 160 or 180 more photos out there that you weren't your best. So for me, when I was just starting out, it was really helpful to see all of the photos and all of the outtakes when I wasn't necessarily looking my best, so I could kind of figure out what worked for me and, you know, what angles I looked the best in. And so that was really important. And if you're working with a photographer, maybe you can ask to see all of the photos and then choose the ones that you want her to edit. And that'll help give you just a better idea of how to be more natural in front of the camera. So Madeline is curious about how my daily routine changed since I moved from Connecticut to New Jersey. And I would say on a whole, it hasn't changed that much, especially since I work from home. It's just basically being in a different environment. But some things have changed, like I had to find a new gym, but I've finally gotten back into that groove. And my photographer and I switched the days that we work together in person, so that was a little bit different. So it hasn't been that huge. I would say the 2 biggest changes are, 1, every weekend I'm not driving to New Jersey to see my boyfriend. It's amazing that we just get to see each other on an everyday basis. That's definitely made it worth it. And then the second thing that has been so incredible is having a backyard in our apartment and being able to just open up the door every morning and let the dogs run out to the backyard to go to the bathroom. It's a game changer. I don't know how I did it in an apartment for so long with an elevator and walking down long hallways. I love the backyard. So those are the 2 biggest changes, but for the most part, it's been a pretty easy transition. So Melissa asked what made me go to Georgetown, or what stood out, I guess, about Georgetown for me. And it wasn't actually a school that was on my radar initially when I was applying to colleges. I was mostly at the time looking at schools in North Carolina like Wake Forest, and schools in Virginia like William & Mary and UVA. For the longest time, I actually thought I was gonna go to UVA, and I was pretty much set on it. I even like worked with the coaches to see if I would need like coach support or if I could get in on my own. So it was pretty much in the works that that's where I was gonna go. But I ended up flying out of DC after a rowing camp at UVA one summer, and my dad was like picking me up and we were gonna fly out of DC. He said, you know what, while we're here, we might as well just go tour Georgetown. I think we had looked at 20 schools over the course of my sophomore and junior years. I was kind of like, well, whatever, you know, it's just gonna be like every other college tour. But literally within 5 minutes of the walking tour, I turned to my dad and I just said, this is where I want to go. I don't 100% know what totally drew me into this school. I just had this gut feeling, and it wasn't even that I was worried about applying or anything. I knew I was gonna go there. My dad kind of looked at me and was like, Carly, they just showed the acceptance rates, like it's so hard to get into, not to mention it's so expensive. Are you sure this is what you want to do? And I just had my heart set on it, and it all worked out. Taylor wants to know how I met my friend Julia. We actually met through a blogging campaign, so we kind of knew of each other through the internet before we met in person for the first time. We did a campaign with Kate Spade for graduation dresses. So I was the East Coast blogger and Julia was a West Coast blogger, and that's kind of how we knew of each other, at least in the internet space. And then we eventually got together for dinner with another mutual friend during one fashion week, and I was kind of excited to meet her just because she seemed so nice and beautiful from her Instagram and blog, and we immediately hit it off and have been really good friends ever since. I truly love her, and she is one of those people that you kind of don't want to like because they're so beautiful in person. I know that's so bad to admit, but it's the truth. And then you meet her in person and she's actually even better than you would expect. She's as beautiful as she is on the outside. She is even more beautiful on the inside, and I just love her and so value and treasure our friendship. So Jessica wanted to know, her husband is deploying and she feels like her apartment's kind of lonely and she can't get pets, and she's wondering how to combat the loneliness. I think it's kind of multi-dimensional. So one thing is just to keep yourself really busy outside of the apartment. I know that when I moved to New York, I was worried about being lonely, but I spent so much time with my coworkers and friends that my time in the apartment was actually something I really looked forward to, so I could finally be by myself. So, you know, find a book club or find a part-time job or do some volunteering so that you're getting out of the house and building that community around you. And that way when you go home, it is sort of this sanctuary where you can be by yourself and enjoy the time alone and not feel lonely. But I also work from home and it can get super lonely, so I know that feeling even if you're keeping yourself busy on the outside. And one thing that really helps me is having music playing. Just having like some sort of background noise, like go to Spotify and pull up the coffee house playlist. It just gives you this vibe that things are happening and that there's some movement in the apartment even when you're home alone. So Haley asked if I had any advice for long distance friendships, and I really feel like I'm a pro at this point at long distance friendships. I moved away from my best friend when I was 8 years old, and I moved to Florida and she was still living in Boston. Honestly, we just figured out a way that we were so dedicated to still being friends that we were just gonna make it happen. So this was, you know, we were 8. This was a long time ago. There was not that much internet and there was definitely no cell phones, but we would send each other letters and talk to each other as much as we could on the phone. And we are still best friends to this day. That's a friendship that I'm not just grateful for, but also really proud of, because I could have easily just moved away to Florida and then, you know, kind of let that relationship just die. But I really valued it and wanted to keep it going, and we both made it happen, and I just am so thankful and grateful for that. Because I've met so many of my friends through the internet and I've moved around a bunch, my friends live everywhere. So I have friends in Alabama, Florida, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago, Connecticut, New York, South Carolina. They're just everywhere. France, I just have friends in so many different places, and I would still consider them great friends even though we don't see each other that often. But one thing that we try to do is, you know, stay connected over text messaging and FaceTiming and making phone calls when we can, and just kind of touching base. Even if you're just saying, hey, I'm thinking about you, you know, it is possible and doable. I think one major key is to try to find time to see each other at least once a year, but ideally twice or more, to see each other in person, just to keep that relationship alive. I love surprising my friends if I know I'm gonna be in town for just a day, trying to coordinate with some of their loved ones to make the surprise happen. And also, like, if I know I'm gonna be in a nearby city, I might try to coordinate taking a train somewhere to see them. It's just important to make the effort, and if it's a friendship that you really value, you will find a way to make that friendship last and continue on. So Morgan asked a question that is near and dear to my heart, and that is how I wash my hair and work out. And the truth is, I try to schedule my workouts around my hair schedule, but what really ends up happening is that I make my hair schedule around my workouts. My hair is really annoying to try to blow dry and style all the time. So if I know I'm going to be scheduling workouts, I try to make it so that after my workout is when I'm gonna wash my hair. And I try to incorporate workouts that don't necessarily need a full wash, but might just take a quick hit of dry shampoo, or, you know, blasting it with a blow dryer just to kind of give it some life again. I'm also a big fan of when I don't need to do my hair, of just letting it dry naturally, and that makes it so much easier and manageable because I can take a shower after my workout and just let it air dry and not worry about it too much. I'm definitely lucky that I work from home, so I can have those days where I don't have to be, you know, picture perfect. But if I need to look good, I try to schedule my workout around when I will be washing my hair. I hope I'm not the only one out there who does that. It's like such a problem for girls. Guys, thanks so much for sending the questions. I love doing these videos. And if you have something else that you want to follow up about, definitely leave it in a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button.